Michael Alan Katsidis is an Australian professional boxer. He is a two-time former WBO interim lightweight champion and world title challenger whose crowd-pleasing, all-action fighting style has often drawn comparisons with the late Arturo Gatti. Amateur career. In an amateur career which began at the age of 11, Katsidis compiled a record of 75-6. During this time he represented the Australian Olympic team in the lightweight division at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney. He also attained a scholarship at the Australian Institute of Sport. 2000 Olympic results First round, defeated Agnaldo Nunzi (15-6). Second round, lost to Nertsan Karimzanov (7-9). Professional career. 2001 (07). Katsidis made his professional debut on December 1, 2001 by stopping Danny Wilson in the third round for the Queensland State lightweight title. In his second fight on March 9, 2002, he won a 12-round unanimous decision over James Swan for the Australian Lightweight Championship. He would go on to score another 19 wins, nearly all by knockout, while amassing a further 3 lower-level titles, the Australian Light Welterweight, WBO Asia Pacific Lightweight and IBF Pan Pacific Lightweight Championships, respectively. In 2001, Katsidis was involved in an altercation with a man, which saw him convicted for assault. Katsidis pleaded not guilty, maintaining self-defense, but was sentenced to 8 months in prison during 2002 6 months of which were spent at the high-security Woodford Correctional Centre north of Brisbane, Queensland. The conviction later made it difficult for Katsidis to obtain a visa to the United States, which was refused twice in 2005 and 2006. Battle with Earl. On February 17, 2007, a bout for the newly created and vacant WBO interim lightweight title was made between Katsidis and Graham Earl at the Wembley Arena in London. In an action-packed and fast-paced fight, Katsidis and Earl went toe-to-toe and traded many heavy blows, during which Earl was knocked down twice in the opening round and again in the second. However, soon after getting back to his feet following the third knockdown and having the towel being thrown in seconds later, Earl managed to floor Katsidis momentarily with a heavy right hand at close quarters, rendering the latter visibly stunned and unsteady on his feet. Earl's comeback would ultimately be short-lived, as Katsidis recovered swiftly and finished the round strongly. At the very end of round 3, a low blow cost Katsidis a point, but in the following rounds he went on to deliver a barrage of largely unanswered punches to Earl until the decision was made Earl's converman to stop the fight after the 5th round. United States debut. Katsidis was scheduled to face then WBO super featherweight champion Joan Guzman on May 26, 2007, but the latter withdrew from the fight due to a hand injury. Katsidis later defended his WBO interim lightweight title against Zara Monsot on July 21, 2007 at the Mandalay Bay Event Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. This was Katsidis' first fight in the United States, as well as the first of his many appearances on the HBO network, as part of the pay-per-view undercard to Bernard Hopkins vs. Ronald Winky Wright. Both boxers would go on to wage an intense, bloody war over the 12-round distance. Monsot proved to be a tough and durable opponent, despite suffering knockdowns in rounds 2 and 10. The judges' scorecards ultimately read 116-110, 115-111 and 114-112 for Katsidis, but both men were subsequently hospitalized at the local Valley Hospital Medical Center, with Monsot requiring an overnight stay and Katsidis multiple stitches for serious cuts around his eyes, which had begun to bleed heavily from the third round onwards. Monsot was later found to have a subdural hematoma, putting his career in serious doubt at the time. 2008 First defeat, a bout with then IBF WBO lightweight champion Juan D'Arles was to take place after the fight with Monsot, but problems with HBO and D'Arles's promoter Don King prevented this from occurring. On March 22 at the Morongo Casino, Resort and Spa in Cabazon, California, Katsidis fought reigning WBC and the Ring Magazine lightweight champion Joel Casamar. The Cuban southpaw got off to a good start by catching Katsidis early on with sharp left hands, dropping him twice in the first round, As the fight continued, Katsidis' harder punches and constant pressure began to find their way through Casamer's defense, at one point sending him tumbling through the ring ropes towards the end of round 6, after successive left and right hands by Katsidis. In the 9th round, Casamer was docked a point due to a low blow. All of this enabled Katsidis to gradually build up a lead on 2 of the judges' scorecards, until a well-placed counter left hand from Casamer caught him on the chin in the 10th round, flooring him for a 4th time. Barely able to stand up, Katsidis was able to carry on, but shortly afterwards a further flurry of unanswered shots from Casamer forced referee John Shaw to stop the fight. This handed Katsidis his first defeat and cost him the WBO interim lightweight title. Again, cuts and bruises were noticeable around his eyes after the fight. Second defeat. Following the defeat, a rescheduled fight with Juan Diaz was set for September 6 at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas for the vacant IBO lightweight championship. Over the course of 12 rounds, Katsidis underperformed and enabled a determined Diaz to counterpunch and time his attacks with regularity. His face bloodied and bruised once again, Katsidis suffered his second consecutive defeat, with Diaz winning a split decision. 2 of the judges scored the fight 116-112 and 115-113 for Diaz, while the third scored it a somewhat controversial 115-113 for Katsidis. 2009 Comeback trail. An opportunity for Katsidis to reclaim the vacant WBO Asia Pacific lightweight title was scheduled for January 31 at the Cebu Coliseum in Cebu City, Philippines, with Angel Hugo Ramirez as his opponent. The 10-round contest was won convincingly by Katsidis, despite appearing to be gunchy at times, coupled with Ramirez's unwillingness to engage. Ramirez was knocked down 4 times, while a point was deducted from Katsidis for hitting Ramirez when he was floored from a slip later in the 2nd round. At the end of the fight, the judges scored 98-87, 96-89 and 96-89 in favor of Katsidis. On April 4, Katsidis faced Jesus Escarvez at the Frank Erwin Center in Austin, Texas. This was part of the Lightweight Lightning event, a lightweight eliminator tournament organized by Golden Boy Promotions. After an initially tentative start by Katsidis, he was soon able to pull ahead on the scorecards due to his characteristic onslaught of attack, which ultimately forced Carvez to quit in his corner before the start of the 8th round. Pay-per-view return. Katsidis' next opponent was Vicente Escobedo, whom he fought on September 19 at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, as part of the undercard to Floyd Mayweather, Jr. vs. Juan Manuel Marquez. The bout was for the WBO interim lightweight title, with the winner receiving a guaranteed opportunity to face the WBO lightweight world champion. In a fight similar to the one with the Monson 2 years prior, Katsidis and Escobedo exchanged hard punches for the full 12 rounds, with Katsidis surging forward aggressively and putting constant pressure on the retreating yet accurately counterpunching Escobedo. As per routine, cuts opened up around Katsidis' face early on, together with a visibly swollen jaw in the closing rounds. At the end of the contest, the judges were split with 118-110 and 115-113 for Katsidis and 116-112 for Escobedo. 2010 Return to London. Having reclaimed the interim title, Katsidis was made to wait several months to see if a mandatory title bout with Juan Manuel Marquez would materialize. This was dependent on whether Marquez was willing return to the lightweight division to defend his WBO championship, or if he would voluntarily relinquish it to Katsidis in favor of moving up to light welterweight for potentially bigger fights. By January 2010, Marquez had not yet expressed any desire to defend against Katsidis. A date on March 27 against then-reigning IBF super featherweight champion Robert Guerrero was at one point confirmed for a Golden Boy Promotions event, but Guerrero withdrew from the fight in early February due to family matters. One day prior to Guerrero's withdrawal, Katsidis had turned his attention towards old nemesis Juan Diaz, with both expressing an interest in a potential rematch. On March 2, a fight between Katsidis and then undefeated lightweight challenger Kevin Mitchell was officially confirmed by promoter Frank Warren. It was contested on May 15 at Boleyn Ground Stadium in London, with the WBO interim lightweight title on the line. At the opening bell, Mitchell looked to establish his jab and keep Katsidis at bay. In the first two evenly split rounds, the occasional flurry of hooks from a highly aggressive Katsidis was enough to make Mitchell fight consistently on the back foot in an attempt to keep out of range. However, in the closing seconds of both rounds, Katsidis was able to launch a charging attack and finish strongly at the bell. In the third round, Katsidis continued to charge at Mitchell and was soon able to land a combination of hooks which made the latter stumble backwards on unsteady legs. From there on, Mitchell was unable to fully regain his composure and, less than 2 minutes later, he was buckled by a hard left hook and a further succession of unanswered punches, at which point referee Dave Paris stopped the fight. The waiting game. Immediately after the Mitchell bout, the WBO mandated that Juan Manuel Marquez must face Katsidis for the full version of the lightweight world championship, or risk being stripped. This was reiterated some months later, following Marquez's victory over Juan Diaz in a rematch of their 2009 fight. Katsidis was in attendance for the aforementioned event in order to scout out the winner and primarily to assert his claim to be next in line against Marquez. World Title Challenge. On August 25 the CEO of Golden Boy Promotions, Richard Schaefer, announced that Marquez had decided to stay at lightweight and defend his WBA, WBO and the ring titles against Katsidis on November 27 at the MGM Grand. Golden Boy Promotions founder Oscar de la Hoya titled the event as Warriors, and it was to be Katsidis' first time headlining an HBO World Championship boxing broadcast. Tragedy occurred during Katsidis' pre-fight preparation and training in Thailand, when his brother Sthi Katsidis died on October 19. In what many observers were anticipating to be a highly fan-friendly fight, Marquez suffered a knockdown in round 3 from a hard Katsidis left hook. He managed to recover swiftly, building up a lead on all the judges' scorecards and gradually neutralizing Katsidis' aggression with accurate counterpunching at close range. In the 9th round, Marquez landed a succession of cleanly landed uppercuts on an unsteady Katsidis, prompting referee Kenny Bayless to step in and halt the fight. Despite a third defeat for Katsidis, the fight went on to win HBO's award for 2010 Fight of the Year. 2011 . Further losses. Katsidis' next fight took place on April 9, 2011 against Robert Guerrero, in a rescheduling of their cancelled fight from March 2010. Staged at the MGM Grand, it formed part of the pay-per-view undercard to a Perma Rick Morales vs Marcos Maidana. The WBA and, once again, WBO interim titles were at stake. Despite an animated taunt of, "What are you looking at?" from Katsidis to Guerrero during their pre-fight stare-down, a fourth career defeat would await Katsidis in his most one-sided to date. Guerrero was able to maintain a safe distance by consistently landing accurate punches with his jab and straight left hand, to which Katsidis had virtually no answer at any stage in the fight. In the second round, Katsidis seemingly scored a knockdown due to a cuffing left hook, but this was not counted by referee Russell Mora. In the fourth, both fighters exchanged punches wildly, with Guerrero maintaining the upper hand. A hard straight left from Guerrero wobbled Katsidis in round 5 and had him hurt for the remainder of the round. As the fight wore on, Katsidis would lose 2 points in the 8th round because of repeated low blows. Guerrero also lost a point for the same reason in the 9th. With all 12 rounds completed, the judges were unanimous in scoring 118-107, 118-106 and 117-108 for Guerrero. Katsidis then moved up to light welterweight for a fight against Michael Lazada on August 13 at the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre in Queensland. It was his first fight in Australia since 2006, as well as his first at light welterweight since that time. An outmatched Lazada was stopped in the 3rd round. In a move back down to lightweight, Katsidis next fought Ricky Burns for the vacant WBO interim lightweight title. The event took place at the Wembley Arena in London on November 5, making it Katsidis' third fight in England. Burns defeated Katsidis by way of unanimous decision with judges' scores of 117-112, 117-111 and 117-111. Later that month, it was announced that Katsidis and career-long trainer Brendan Smith had amicably parted ways after nearly 20 years. In an in-depth December interview, he explained that he was on the lookout for a new manager, promoter and trainer, as well as a forthcoming fight. 2012 Trainer changes. Having hired a new trainer in fellow Australian and former heavyweight contender Justin Fortune, Katsidis moved up light welterweight again for a fight against Albert Mensah, which took place on April 13, 2012 at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Despite throwing over 1,000 punches in a typically action-packed outing, Katsidis was outboxed by Mensah, who landed fewer but more damaging punches. In the 9th round, Katsidis was hurt several times and looked to be on shaky legs as he stumbled around the ring. At the end of the 10-round contest, the judges scored a majority decision for Mensah with scores of 98-92, 96-94 and 95-95. Later in the year, Katsidis was scheduled to fight then-undefeated Dalia's Pa Copyright Rez on August 10 at the Morongo Casino, but later withdrew on July 25 due to a knee injury. At one point during October, Katsidis was in the running for a high-profile welterweight bout against then-returning British star Ricky Hatton, but Hatton instead chose Vyacheslav Senchenko as his opponent. Katsidis later stated that from there on he would stay at lightweight, which he felt was his natural weight class. In another in-depth December interview, Katsidis revealed that he had moved back to Sydney and hired veteran trainer Johnny Lewis for future bouts. 2013 Health scare and inactivity. Katsidis' first bout of 2013 was scheduled for February 21 at the Melbourne Pavilion, against Wang Hea of the Philippines. However, on February 12 the news broke that the fight had been cancelled, with Katsidis having received medical advice based on MRI and CAT scans that he should retire. A week following the announcement, further information from the scans revealed that Katsidis had suffered scarring of the brain. In July, Katsidis expressed his desire for a farewell fight in his hometown of Toowoomba, where he had not fought since 2006. He also stated that he was clear to fight, while having other aspirations outside of boxing. In October, it was at one point confirmed that Katsidis would face Stephen Foster on December 11 at the Sydney Entertainment Centre, but for unknown reasons this did not take place on the date. 2014 present Katsidis and Brendan Smith reunited before the start of the year, with Katsidis facing Eddie Camaro on March 14 at the Convention Centre in Toowoomba. Camaro was stopped in 3 rounds. A rematch with Graham Earl, whom Katsidis first fought in 2007, took place on July 4 in Toowoomba, at light welterweight. Katsidis won a unanimous decision with scores of 120-109, 120-108 and 119-109. On October 25, Katsidis travelled to Hull, England to face Tommy Coyle. The fight took place at Hull Arena, in the lightweight division. Katsidis suffered his 7th career loss when he was knocked down and stopped in the 2nd round. Personal life. Being of Greek descent, Katsidis often pays homage to his heritage by wearing a Corinthian helmet when entering the ring, and in bouts his trunks often resemble a warrior's skirt. He further showcases this heritage with a tattoo on his back depicting the Vagina sun, which is the symbol of the Greek state of Macedonia, from where his family hails. His brother Sthi Katsidis was one of Australia's most prominent jockeys. On October 19, 2010, Sthi was found dead at his home in Brisbane. In February 2009 Katsidis married Japanese native Kumiko Hosako during a ceremony in Bangkok. On December 8, 2009 he became a father for the first time, to newborn daughter Kalia Rose. Professional boxing record. Titles in boxing, major world titles, 2x WBO interim lightweight championship, regional international titles, Queensland State Lightweight Championship, Australian Lightweight Championship, Australian Light Welterweight Championship, 2XWBO Asia Pacific Lightweight Championship, IBF Pan Pacific Lightweight Championship. References. External links, official website, professional boxing record for Michael Katsidis from BoxRec.